So today we're going to do a full tutorial on how to set up a sub account inside of GoHighLevel. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to start from the absolute beginning of creating an account all the way to try to get it as most set up without designing or building workflows, but mostly setting up the back end so you fully understand how to do this, including loading a snapshot so then you at least have something to start off with. Now, for anybody listening today, this is also going to serve for an onboarding guide for you to do this for your customers so you kind of know the proper steps in the way that we do it. Now, this is after doing this quite a few times, and we're kind of explaining why we do it this way along the way, but try to follow along. There's going to probably be some advanced parts you're probably going to have to look at other videos for, just because I can't explain the entire sequences of all things in here because it's just a little bit too much to cover. So try to do your best to follow, but I try to go as beginner as possible so then you can kind of see how to properly set up a sub account. So stay tuned and build along with us. So by far, one of the biggest questions that we always have from our customers and also from people that are subscribing or watching any of our material is how to properly onboard, or is there an onboarding checklist? Now, I can tell you from experience, it's not necessarily having an onboarding checklist, but kind of understanding the steps of how to properly set up an account. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to show you what to do. And I'm actually going to create an account from scratch, load a snapshot, which is a template for HighLevel. So then you can honestly see how things kind of work. And then what we tackle first with our customers to kind of give you a range of idea what to always turn on for a customer so then they can kind of do it themselves, right? So without further ado, let's jump right in. So I'm going to come in here into my agency side. Now, if you bought the $97 plan, you will also start here. Now, I'm not going to tell you how to set up the agency side of this. There's another video out there that I've already done for this, but this one is going to be strictly for a sub account. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go to sub accounts on the left-hand side. So if you just click on this little sub account on the left-hand side menu, you're going to see it there. Now in here, I'm going to create a sub account on the top right-hand side. And I am going to do a blank snapshot one because I want to show you how to load a snapshot so you also understand how to do that going forward. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to hit select and continue. And what it will do is it will allow me to basically come in here and build or kind of add an account to the system. Now, for anybody who bought the $97 plan, usually come with 3 of these. And usually the way we reserve it is we reserve one for us, for our agency to work with, another one for the CRM if I ever plan on sending the CRM out, and another one for an actual client. So then we can kind of get the free account still within the $97 plan, charge the customer $97 and make the initial money back, right? So kind of just making the math work out so you get your account basically for free. So what we're going to do is I'm going to come over here after I hit that sub account, going to go to the top right-hand side and hit add manually. And we're just going to put some information in here, right? So first name, last name, email, and I'm going to do like a little throwaway email like test.com. All right, business name will be, this will be test account 2. Okay, business, I wouldn't necessarily worry about it, but if you want to do, we'll just say marketing. All right, this becomes important later on when you're doing the taxes. So I'm going to go ahead and put marketing agency, address 1 to Fake Street. Okay, then this is going to be Fake City. All right, we're just going to say New Jersey. All right, country is going to be the United States. Everything looks inside. All right, we're just put some random serial code. All right, and making sure that we put in a business phone number, 555-1212. All right, and the time zone, it was going to be Eastern time zone. It doesn't really honestly matter. Now, what's great is here, if you're going to do this for a client's account, you're going to go ahead and do it, set this up as my client account, or set this up as your own account. Agency sub accounts can be used for managing SaaS clients and rebilling. So the way to think about it is if you're planning on creating a SaaS version of this, your own white label version of HighLevel, which is more for the $497 plan, you would click on this in order to do it. But for this case, this is going to be a sub account for a client. So we're going to say set up client sub account to offer them services based on their unique requirements. And if you want to add sample data so you have data to play with, you can hit this button here and it will automatically add it to the account. Now in this situation, I'm not, because I just want to make sure we have it and we have it labeled as test account so then we can pull it up. So I'm going to go ahead and add the sub account. Now, what's important here is again, I'm not going to teach you anything about like how to set up the payment structure, how to make it into a SaaS. I'm just going to literally give you the basics of how to set up the account inside. So this is how you would onboard a client. The assumption here is made that you've already added them to your SaaS plan and all that. And if you don't know how to do that, watch the ones on how to set up a SaaS account so you can kind of see how to do that first. So what I'm going to come in here is, now that I have the account created, I want to load a snapshot. Now, if you were watching any of our videos, are part of our free community. You already have the funnel brick snapshot. What you're going to want to do is go get that snapshot at this point in time. And what you're going to do is click on it and download it. Now, I'll go to my Skool community. Okay. So you can kind of see, and again, this is free for everybody. So you can go in there just in case you haven't gotten there yet. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on here. I'm going to go to my classroom. And if I scroll down, I'll see funnel bricks, free funnel brick starter. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click and install the snapshot. It gives you here, or grab the snapshot link. If I click on this and I'm downloaded to app.GoHighLevel.com, what it'll do is I'll be able to come in here and I'll be able to download the snapshot. Now, you have to be downloaded to that app.GoHighLevel.com in order for it to come in. So make sure you get it here, click on it, and then you'll be able to have it. Now, the reason that's important is once you download it, all right, you're going to be taken back to this screen. Let's say your agency dashboard, that's where everybody starts. And what you're going to do is you'll have like a snapshot account area where you have all the different snapshots that you have for your particular account. What you're going to do is you're going to come over here, back to sub account. All right, look up at your test one that you did. All right, here's my test account too. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click in it. Now, when I click on that name, notice it brings me up here. And you're going to notice the top right-hand side is going to have this thing called an actions button. So what you're going to do is you're going to click on it. You're going to hit load snapshot. You're going to choose the snapshot. Now ours will say funnel bricks AM local starter. I'm going to go ahead and click on it. I'm going to go ahead and proceed. And I'm going to hit select all, proceed again. All right. And then select all again. This is if there's anything to override. And then I'm just going to type in the word confirm. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and proceed. Now that I proceeded, I can go into the sub account because it's going to have the template already loaded. Now, we're actually not even going to use the template until way later on, but I just wanted to make sure that you knew how to load the snapshot because, again, that's another question, especially if you're starting from scratch, really beginning. You have the template there. It's a great template. You want to make sure you leverage it, all right? So now what we're going to do is we're now going to come back over to the top left-hand side, and we are going to switch into the account that we just created because, again, what we did in here was we came in here and we created the account, but now we have to actually physically go into the account. So I selected from that downward menu, the test account, and now I'm physically in the test account. So the first thing that we want to do is focus on 4 major things. The first and foremost, and probably the hardest part about this whole thing, is going to be setting up the different domains you're going to need inside of here. Now, setting up the domains is usually a little bit harder. It requires a little bit of tech skill, not a lot, but a little bit. But hopefully if you follow this guide, this will make a little bit more sense. Now, the thing about putting in your domain records and all that, it depends on where you buy the domain. I can't do 100 something odd lessons on the different domain types, but I'm going to try to generally give you an idea where to find the area where you're going to add the records. And what we do is we add the records first. That's number 1. And we add it for the domain, the membership area, the links, and anything else that we find that we might need as far as adding domains and subdomains in, and I'll explain it a little bit as we get in. Right after that, what we're going to do is connect all of our social media. After that, we're going to connect our calendars. And then after that, we are going to look at the funnel template, at least for us, so then you can kind of see where to start and where to kind of get going. Now, again, when you're setting up this for a client and you're onboarding a client, this is the way we always do it too. So now is going to be basically the onboarding part of the client. So what we do first is if you come in here and there is a launch pad, I think this is honestly the best way to go about it. It's still, after many, many years, the easiest way to do it. Now, the reason why we do this first is because these are the easy wins for the customer. So first and foremost, if the customer has what we call a Google business profile, this is if they want to be rated on Google, like with, a 1-star rating, a 5-star rating and all that. In order for you to do that, you have to have a Google business profile. If you are not a local business, you can skip this part. If you are a local business, 100% will recommend that you set up a Google business profile. But if the person has one, what you do is you come over here, you hit connect, a new screen comes up. It's going to ask you to log in with your Gmail that you signed up with your Google business profile under. You click on it and you connect your Google business profile. Now, if you don't have one, it's okay. Move on, skip this step. All right. So it's super simple. You're going to come in here, do all the connections. Once you do that, it's going to try to connect and it's going to find a different profile that you can connect to. And notice that sometimes you have a pop-up blocker. I don't know if you saw that, but what you want to do is you always want to make sure you allow pop-ups when you're doing anything inside a HighLevel, because sometimes little screens pop up and you want to make sure you have it. All right. So while that's connecting, we're going to move on a little bit. Now, it might have got stuck a little bit because it probably blocked the pop-up. And as you saw, all I did was go up top on the left-hand side, right click it and allow for pop-ups for the site. Because now if I come in here, I click on it, hit continue, now a new screen will pop up. And if you didn't see the screen pop up, it's because, again, your particular pop-up blocker is on the browser and it's not letting pop-ups happen. Now, what's happening here is it's going to give me a selection of pages. I select the page that I want. And then after I select the page that I want, I go ahead and connect it. All right. Super simple to do. Once that part is done, you're going to move on to Facebook. Facebook, you're going to hit connect. Hit got it. It's going to automatically, again, go into Facebook. And when you go into Facebook, it's going to ask you, would you like to reconnect? I'm not going to hit this right now because I don't want to share my personal information in here, but you would connect it. You would then connect your Facebook account or the customers. And if you're doing this on behalf of the customer, you have to have them logged in and you have to share your screen in order for them to see it. Now that that's done, I'm going to come back over here. This website chat widget, I wouldn't worry about it too much. That's going to be a much later point. But what you want to do is once that's done, the next part is you're going to want to go over here and hit add any team members, like maybe you want to add a coworker, business partner, a spouse, whatever it is. You're going to put it in here. Put in whatever email it is, but just make sure you hit enter. Once you hit enter, it will automatically send an invitation for them to come in to the software. All right. Hey, we want to interrupt this video for a quick little minute to just let you know that I hope you're enjoying this video. We want to thank you for being here. But more importantly, we are hoping that this content helps you do whatever you're trying to do inside of HighLevel. We also want to let you know that you have options to get additional help. We offer a $197 a month VIP coaching program that includes 4 days of office hours, first come, first serve with Andy or myself, where we go in and we answer any of your questions that you might have live with a group setting for other people that are also working in HighLevel. We also have a VIP group where we answer questions directly one-on-one with anybody posting in that group to give you the absolute best support. It also comes with a bunch of other features, including our funnel brick system, our little mini course, and more importantly, a couple guides that'll help you through this, and also including our SOP library that we use for pretty much everything inside of our agency. So thank you for this quick little minute, but more importantly, go back to the video, get whatever you need. And if you have any questions that we can answer inside the video, just drop a comment on the video and we'll make sure to answer whenever we get a chance. And now back to the show. So that's where we initially start. The reason being is, if a person is a business owner and is local and doesn't have a Google business profile, it's really smart for them to go have one. If you don't know how to build one, literally Google business profile setup. There are plenty of YouTube videos on how to do it that are step-by-step. The second is we want to upload their social media because social media is very important and it connects in here. You can do Instagram posts, Facebook posts, all of that. And the more instance and understanding that the customer has in order to do that, the more sticky they become, the easier the tool becomes for them to use. And it becomes a one-stop shop for them, which is ultimately what we want to do. So those two things are the first major two things that connect, then followed by adding more team members if they have any other visuals that they have. Now, payment processing, we'll get that, but I usually do that to the later part. And the reasoning why is that you want to make sure they have everything else connected before they go there, because the hardest things are coming up. The next thing that I do is after connecting those three things, or two, and then adding team members, I now go into settings on the left-hand side, and I immediately focus on getting their domains inside of here. Now, big explanation when it comes to domains. Depending on where you bought the domain, depending on the instructions is going to be a little bit different. Now, again, there are a gazillion places where you can buy domains. The recommended ones that we talk about are Cloudflare and GoDaddy because they're the easiest to connect to this software, where it just requires you to add a button, literally click a button, I should say. Click a button and it automatically adds a domain inside. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit connect to domain, and you're going to notice about 5 different areas where you're going to have it. Now, all these are required except the WordPress one. And I wouldn't say they're necessarily required, but they're the best to do it. The one that I start the most with is going to definitely be email, because if you do not set up their email, they will not be able to email out. And that is a core function of this tool, and you want to make sure you do it. So what you do here is you're going to come over here and you're going to hit connect. Now, when connecting this, I want to make sure you guys understand, this will not disrupt your current email system. Meaning, if you have Google Workspace or Microsoft Office or any other professional email address, this won't disturb it. Now, to be very clear, in order for you to operate email inside of here, you need to have a professional email address. So you will need to go out and either get Google Workspace, or you're going to have to go get Microsoft Office. We recommend Google Workspace because it just works way better with the software here. And again, it's probably the cheaper alternative out of the two. You can get a beginner starter plan. Now, again, I'm not going to show you how to set up Google Workspace. There are literally plenty of YouTube videos, and honestly, the installation is pretty easy, but I will kind of make you understand what it is. So the reason why this will not disturb those programs is because we're going to be using what's called a subdomain. Now, a subdomain is anything that you put before a domain. In the instance of what we have here, make believe I wanted to go to a domain right over here. I could type in, let's say Nuno M. Tavares, which is my website.com. And if I wanted to create a subdomain, I'm going to add records. So basically, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do right in front of it, lc dot or go dot or mail dot. It doesn't really matter, or replies dot. The reason why we add that in front of it is to not disturb the main domain that has all these things already on it. Now, 9 times out of 10, if you're doing this for other customers, you're going to want to use a subdomain when setting up domains in here and with setting up email, because 9 times out of 10, the customer already has a website. Now, if they do not, this doesn't apply, but just understand it's always safer if you're setting this up for a client that you're using a subdomain instead. So for instance, what we're going to do is we're going to come over here and we are going to go and find a domain. So I'm going to go to Cloudflare, where I have my domains. Just give me a second, because then I'm going to log in real quick. Cloudflare is pretty affordable. You can buy domains directly on there. I already have a set of domains that I've already bought, but honestly, you come into Cloudflare or GoDaddy. A lot of people have them in GoDaddy. It's perfectly fine. It doesn't matter which one it is. Those are the preferred ones. The other ones are going to be a little harder to navigate through to find out where these things are. All right, so now what we're going to do, now that we're inside of Cloudflare, right? I selected my domain, and I'm going to go into where it says DNS and then select records. And it'll bring me up to this screen. Now, yours, depending on which one you have, like mentioned before, will look a little bit different. But what you're looking for is DNS management, DNS records, or manage DNS, or DNS zone, or zone DNS, anything that says DNS and gives you the ability of adding records with a button like you see on the screen. That's going to be the area that you want to go. So now that we have this here, what we're going to do is we're going to go over to settings. Inside of settings, we're going to go to domains and URLs and redirects on the left-hand side menu. We're going to connect a domain. You can also buy one, but I recommend actually going to Cloudflare, like I mentioned before. It's pretty affordable. It's easy. It's one of the better ones out there, and it's cheap. So I'm going to hit connect a domain. We are going to start with the hardest first, because if I can get you the hardest first, the rest are actually going to be really easy. So what I'm going to do here is under email, I'm going to go ahead and connect, because we're going to do is set up an email ability to send emails out of. Now, remember, setting up an email in here is not an inbox. All it is allowing you to send email out of the tool, which is what you want to do, because it's like one of the core basic functions that you definitely want to make sure you have in the CRM. Now, in here, remember the subdomain part. What we're going to do is we're going to create a subdomains. Now, you can use replies. You can use the word M. Most people use LC. It could be anything. The only one you can't use is mail or email, because if you are using WordPress, it automatically reserves that. So stay away from those two. So what we're going to do is, just for the sample of this, I'm going to put in replies dot, and then I'm going to go grab my domain. All right. Which if you're using Cloudflare, it's usually right here, because if you misspell this, none of this will work. And believe it or not, misspellings is the #1 error whenever we're onboarding clients. Now, if you're doing this with the clients, I usually have the clients share it's Zoom calls, and I'm walking them through this of where to go. And again, you have to be very familiar with the different types of like the domain providers, but that comes over time because there's like hundreds of them. As long as you can find the DNS editor and the DNS place where you can add the records, the rest is usually very similar, right? Not pretty, but it's very similar. I come over here and I hit add and verify. And what I'm going to do is now I can hit continue. Now, if I have GoDaddy and Cloudflare, it will automatically add these records on my behalf. But for the sake of this coaching and understanding, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit add the records manually so you can see how to add these individually. We'll do the rest where we'll just hit the button so you can see how easy it is with Cloudflare. But just in case you don't have Cloudflare, you have like SiteGround or you have other things, it's important for you guys to know how to do this. And there's different ways to set this up, and there's many different videos. So like it would be really hard to try to show you all the different domain providers and how to do it. But again, just try to find those core things because it is important. Now I'm going to come over here, and the way this is going to work is it's going to give you the record type, the host, and the required value. It's 3 different parts. So the first thing is when you go into adding a record in any of your DNS domain providers, you're going to hit the add record button. It's always going to ask you the type. The type that we're going to start off with is a text, so TXT. And then notice that this says name required. Name required usually is the host in certain places, or it's name, or it's required value. Again, it's always different depending on where you go. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste it under the name. And then after this, I'm going to copy this, which is the content part of it, and I'm going to paste it, okay? Record type, the value, the host or the name, the required value of the content, all right? Once I do that, I'm going to come over here. I'm going to hit save. And then what I'm going to do is, see, it added the record. I'm going to add another record, come back over here. We know it's a text record. So again, drop it down to text. The name or required value is replies or the host. Okay, the content or the required value is going to be, oh, copy the wrong one. It's the second value right there with the V equals SPF. All right, and I'm going to hit save. Now I add the next record. So hit add record, come to the CNAME. All right, that's the type that it is. Notice that it changed the back end, but that's okay. We're still going to be doing the same exercise. Copy the first part, put it under name. Copy the second part, put it under target. Now with Cloudflare and only with Cloudflare, it's going to give you a proxy. Turn this off so then it can find the actual subdomain, because what a proxy does is disguise the domain so hackers can't get to it. But in this case, we need it to see, the tool needs to see it. So we're going to turn that off and we're going to go ahead and hit save. And we added our CNAME record, okay? 2 more. Now we're going to change the record type to add record. It's going to be an MX. Now sometimes this will be located in a different part of the provider you have. So you're going to have to kind of either look for custom MX records or the MX record section. So just be aware of that. That's why Cloudflare makes it super easy. This is why we love using Cloudflare. And what we're going to do is hit replies, come over here, hit replies, mail server, copy this, and click on the mail server, which is mx.org, right? Or Mailgun. And the priority, I just know from doing this a bazillion times, you're going to put priority at 10. All right. Next, we're going to add another record. Come in here. We're going to add the MX records. Again, the host, we're going to grab the replies, paste it, mail server, copy it, and paste it under the mail server. And again, we know the priority is 10. And we're going to go ahead and hit save. Okay, now we added the record. And then once they're all done and added, what we're going to do is we're going to hit verify records. And what we're looking for is all green. Now, depending on the domain provider you have, this might be a little delayed. So you might have an issue. And again, yours might take an hour, yours might take 30 seconds, yours might take 30 minutes. It's very variable depending on which one you have. This is why we strongly recommend GoDaddy and Cloudflare because they're super fast. All right. Now you'll notice that all are green except this one where it says it's an optional. Let me tell you right now, in the age that we're in right now, this is not optional. This adds better deliverability right off the bat. So you're going to definitely want to make sure you turn this on. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy the first part and we're going to go to add record. This type is going to be, the DMARC is going to be a text record. And we're going to paste the first, which is the name. And then we're going to copy and paste. They don't give us the option like that before to drop in the content, which is V equals DMARC 1, P equals none. And we're going to go ahead and hit save. Now, the total that we've done with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 records in total. All right. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 records in total. Now, notice this is still brown though. What do? Until you see all green, you're going to hit the refresh button located right in here. You're going to keep hitting refresh until we see all green. Let's give it a sec. Beautiful. All green. Now that it's all green, we're going to hit verify domain or just keep hitting the refresh until you see it. We're going to hit verify domain. Awesome. And now we have this here. So a couple things I want to make sure you understand about email when you're onboarding your customers. One, this is not an inbox. This is basically a relay or like a tunnel you're sending mail through to send mass emails out from inside the CRM. So you will need to have a professional inbox in order for the mail to actually deliver. Meaning you have to have a Google Workspace or a Microsoft Office. Like you literally have to pay for inbox service. You can even use Cloudflare to set up email, but regardless of which, you're going to need an email service. Now, I'm not going to tell you how to do that because that's a separate tool altogether. So if you want to learn how to grab a Google Workspace, what you do is you come in here, you go here and you just type in Google Workspace and hit enter. When you come in here, you're going to come over here and you're going to hit try for free, but I'm going to give you a little secret. If you just scroll down, there's a starter plan they don't tell you about. Hit the try for free for this and start putting in the company name, the employees and everything else, and literally just go through it. If you go through it, what it will do is it will actually help you create the account, add the records, and go through the same process that we do for your email. Now, the reason I tell you this is you have to have a professional email address that has a DMARC, that has a DKM and an SPF. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you will do this part when you're setting up your Google Workspace. There's also, like I said, a free little coaching inside of my YouTube channel on how to set up a Google Workspace account. I recommend you go there. If you're using Microsoft Office, go find a YouTube video that says it, but that installs it. But you definitely need to have a professional email address. The second thing that's super important, make believe you have a list of 10,000 people, customers from like the last 10 years, but you never emailed before. That's considered a cold list. Or you bought a list off the internet, or you downloaded from somewhere and everything else. If you never interacted with those people, those are considered a cold list. This software is not meant for cold emailing. If you cold email, you're going to ruin your email reputation. Now, email reputation starts at everybody as a medium. If you all of a sudden start blasting out and people don't open your emails, put it in spam, or that ends up in promotions, over time, your email reputation will drop and it'll go from medium to low to bad. Those are literally the ratings. Or if you're a really good email person, you go to high. Now, you cannot, one, blast a cold email list, and two, you can't blast emails at all. You can't take a brand new account and decide to send 10,000 emails in one day. It won't allow you to do so. And secondly, it's not part of the warm-up sequence. Every time you get a brand new CRM, brand new software, or brand new domain, you have to start from zero and warm up the email. And the way you warm up the email is you send 300 the first day, 300 the next day, and you make sure that there's no issues. People aren't unsubscribing. Open rates are pretty decent. Once you do that, then you want to double every day. So on the third day, I can now send 600 and then 1,200. And I can keep going until I get to 10,000. Once I double up and keep going to 10,000 and I'm sending 10,000 a day, then what I can do is I now can send 10,000 normally because I've now created a reputation where it sees that the volume that I sent is about 10,000 a week or 10,000 a day or whatever it is. So just be very careful in understanding that you cannot do cold emailing in this side of the software. And two, you cannot take a brand new list and send it out. And you're like, well, how do I segment the list? Well, you got to segment it before it comes in, or you take your entire list and you put it on what we call a bulk timer, and then you'll send it out. And I'll show you that a little bit later on because a lot of people get confused and literally ruin their email within the first day. All right. So now we are inside of a tool. You set up your Google Workspace. Now what we want to do, if you're the only person using this particular email, what you want to do is you want to come over here and you want to do what's called set headers. Set headers will force this software to send out email under the name and the email you put in here. So if my name is Nuno and I created an alias address in here at nuno@replies.automatedmarketer.live. Okay. Now Nuno has to be a real email address, meaning when I went to Google Workspace and I decided to create an email address, that I actually created this email address. A lot of people will be really tempted to use info, team, or support. Honestly, I wouldn't. I would just use your name. If you're a solopreneur, if you're a company, then I would do team. But again, make sure you're creating these email addresses in a Microsoft Office, in your Google Workspace, so this actually goes somewhere when all this happens, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And now every email that comes out of this will come out using this name and this email. But before I do, let me just fix the set headers a little bit because I'm going to spell my name and we'll go in here. Great. And that's actually the hardest part about this whole thing. If you figured that part out, the rest is going to be super easy. This is literally the hardest part. Now, once I'm done with this with the client, I immediately go start setting up the other parts of the email that they're going to need. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down again to domains and URL redirects. And then the next one that I do is I come in here and I go to manage, because now I've already set up the core domain. What I want to do is I want to hit connect. And now what I'm going to do is I've already set up my email. I want to set up an area where I can build funnels and have funnels go in here. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to funnels, websites, and blogs. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect a domain that I'm going to use for my funnels or for my website. And again, if you are doing this for other clients and they're not using their main domain, then you can use the main domain. Meaning if I don't have any other websites or the clients don't have any other websites, you have to ask this question. Because if you do not, you will bring down the domain that they currently have their site up. So what I usually do is when I go to any of these, I come in here and my go-to domain for this is going to be go dot whatever the domain is. because then I'm putting it on a subdomain. And if the customer already had Automated Marketer Live in a WordPress site or in Wix or in Squarespace, you can't put a domain on a domain that's already existing. So as always, a safety precaution, the way we onboard is we always put it on a subdomain, because I'll ask the customers 10 times, is this site anywhere? And they don't know what I'm talking about. And all of a sudden they say no, and I put it up, it will bring the entire site down. And they're like, why is my site down? Well, I asked you 3 times whether or not you had a site, but they refuse to tell me that. So just something to be aware of as you go through. So then I hit continue. And just like before, if you have Cloudflare or GoDaddy and you hit continue, you're going to come in here. And if I have those 2 providers, I can hit authorize domain. And what it'll do is it'll authorize Cloudflare to add this on my behalf. And literally with the button, I'm done. So if you have either Cloudflare or GoDaddy, this is why we recommend you getting domains there, because it is that easy to connect. It's also, if you're onboarding clients, this becomes a real no-brainer, because then you don't have to go into all these different DNS managers to figure out how this DNS does it versus that DNS. So 2 major things to learn about when you're adding the main domain for funnels and all that is 1, add a subdomain, or 2, connect it to Cloudflare or GoDaddy, and don't ever use the main domain unless you completely have verified that they don't have the site. And the best way to just honestly do it, take the web address, the domain, and put it up. If something's up there, no, you do have something. So just be very, very careful on adding a domain, and just for always safety, just add a subdomain. You can always switch back to a main domain at any point in time way later on. Right now, we added the domain, we added the email. Now let's keep going. I'm going to then add the branded domain. Now, branded domain is if they're inside of the CRM and they're going to be sending calendar links out, or they're going to be sending, like emails out or something else. What we want to do is we want to brand the links so it looks like it's coming from their domain. So what I tend to do is I come in here and add links or link dot, and then I paste the actual domain of this. So I'll go into my DNS editor here, copy it, and paste it. Now, if it went too quick for you, let me show you how to do this again. Go to settings, come all the way over here, go to domain and URL redirects. It's already, like, your domain that you're leveraging is already here. I'm going to hit manage. I'm going to hit connect. I'm going to go to branded domain, click connect. It brings me to this screen. In here where it says branded domain, I'm going to add the link dot, and then I'm going to come over here, grab the domain real quick, paste it, and I'm going to hit add domain. Now, again, it brings me to this screen again. It says, do you want to add the records manually, or do you want to connect to the domain provider? I'm going to add it manually just so you can see it again one more time. So this time it's a record, the host, and the required value. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to add a record. This is going to be the host, which we know is a CNAME based on what I read right here. All right. The host is going to be link, or the name. Okay. And then the required value is going to be brand something or other. And again, remember, I always take the proxy off, and I'm going to hit save. Awesome. Come over here. Once I know it's connected in the CNAME, verify the records. It takes about 30 seconds. Honestly, with Cloudflare, it's super quick, and we automatically do this. Now, the next one that we're going to do is going to be a portal. Now, some people will want to create a portal for clients, for membership areas, for courses. Again, because you're already here, I just always do it because it becomes super easy. But just like before, you have to ask them, are you using a membership area elsewhere? And do you know how to sign into that membership area? For instance, Kajabi, or let's say Teachable, or any of those, they'll have already a subdomain in there, and 9 times out of 10 it's either portals, memberships. So just be very careful with that part in adding this place. So again, you ask the question, Mr. Customer, do you have a membership area currently, or a portal of any sort that customers go to? If the answer is no, then you're free to use whatever you want as a subdomain. If the answer is yes, what you can do is, while you're in here, look for other CNAMEs like members. You see how this one has members and microgreens, and I think I saw another one with email replies, which is the one we just added. Look for CNAME records or A records that have just words. So you see, I saw dog quiz. I saw anything with an A record or a CNAME that has a name means that it's already being used and I can't use it. So what I'm going to do is, now that this is good, I'm going to hit the go back button again, go to settings, go all the way to domains and redirects, and then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to hit manage, and I'm going to go ahead and hit connect, and we're going to go to client portal. Inside client portal, I want to use portal because I didn't see it being used. dot, and same thing. I'm going to come over here, put the domain at the end of that dot. And just like before, add a domain, add manually. Again, it's another CNAME. Come over here, add record, CNAME, copy the portal, copy this one, which is going to be the target, remove the proxy, hit save, okay? Come over here, verify records, and now I've created a portal domain. I'm getting all this done so then I don't have to do it later on just in case the customer requires it and I already know it's good to go. Once this is done, we are going to go to the social media manager and start connecting all the social media, and then we're going to go to calendars, right? This will give the ability for all this to happen. See, this is saying it already exists. So portal is already somewhere in here. So if it's already using portal, all right, I'm just going to refresh this. I'm going to have to use a different one. We'll put like portal 2 just for the sake, or I would do members. So let's do portal 2 dot automatedmarketer.live, which in copyright. Let me go grab it. Come over here because I always spell wrong. I always like to copy the domain, especially on a longer domain, because like if this is spelled wrong in any way, none of this stuff will work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit add a domain. It's going to bring me to this record again. I'm going to add records manually. I'm just going to change this portal 2, hit edit. All right, portal 2, save, and you would add the records just like before, hit verify records. Let's see how it works. And then again, once it's set, all my domains are going to be set. I'll have my link set. So any link that's going out is going to be branded. I'll have my portal area. If I have a membership area, that's going to be all set. I have my domain that I'm going to use for my funnels, and I already have my email. The reason we onboard the customer with all of this is because this is going to make it very sticky, and it's going to be easier for you if you're the person setting this up, that you have all this set. Now that this is all said and done, the next thing we're going to do is come over here, and we're going to go down, and you notice that we're in the settings area. What I actually want to do is I want to go back out, not in the settings area, but go to marketing, go to the social media planner, and then this is very, very easy. All you got to do is you're going to click on the accounts that you want to connect by clicking on them, and it's going to create the pop-up, and then it's going to make you log into every single one. So you got to go to threads, and it's going to lock in. I would go ahead and do this for all the accounts the customer has, because if the customer has all this already connected, it's going to make it super easy for them to do. Once that's said and done, what you want to do is the social planner will come up, help them post their first post. Hey guys, just started a new CRM. Really excited about my journey. If anybody want to know about anything about the CRM, check this out. This is the link. Or testing this out for all my friends and family. Can you see this? Whatever it is. So all of these, I would automatically connect and go through it. And then you can create an evergreen post. You can put it into different places. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff you can do. And honestly, if you just follow this right here, you can do it. And you can even schedule the post going forward. I would at least connect as many as you can for the customer with the customer on there, and then come in here and schedule the first post to go out so they can see how it works. Super easy to do. We're not going to cover it here because honestly, it's literally clicking it, connecting it, posting. Can't make it any easier than that. Once that's said and done, the next step is going into your settings area, going into my profile. Now, in here, you're going to want to do the business profile and start setting up the business legal name, the business email, the business phone number, and business websites, and making sure they're putting in the proper address. Because what you want to do is start setting them up to launch or to get ready for A2P messaging, which is telephone, which you're going to need for voice AI and chat AI. All of that you're going to need in order to have all this done. You're going to want to get an A2P verified number. So you're going to have the client fill all this out, branded domain. Remember, this will already be set. The business website, business email, the phone number, their actual business phone number, the street address, and all of that. Then you're going to come in here and you're going to select the business type that they are, get their business industry, select the registration ID, the registration number, what countries they're planning on servicing, their name, their representative email, which is them. Fill all this out. And then what this does is automatically help you with the brand in order to get set up for A2P, which is required registration that you're going to need to either text message or do anything with voice. Now, the one important thing about when setting up the brand, if they're setting up their business details, make sure that when they get to the tax ID, whenever they put their tax ID on, everybody in the US gets what's called a CP575. It's a white document that has the business address and your tax ID number in it. That business address needs to match in here when they're registering for their A2P. And there's a whole nother video on A2P registration. But since you're in here now, do this with the client early on, because when you help them with their A2P registration, that's a whole nother process they have to follow. The first part of it is getting approved for the brand. So if their business information is different, what they have with the state, then what will happen? There'll be an ID mismatch and this won't get approved when you go down to the A2P registration. But this is definitely the first part. So you're going to want to make sure you do this in order for that to happen, because if you don't, what will happen is there'll be a mismatch and they will fail their A2P registration, at least the first part. There's two parts. There's the brand registration and then there's the campaign registration. Brand registration is solely, fully about matching this to whatever is on the state website. And it's a robot that does it. It's not even a human. So if there's a mismatch, it's because it's automatic and it exists there. So this is all said and done. You're going to want to do this. Now, this is a very big common mistake that customers don't understand, especially if you're on the $97 plan. If they're one of your customers and they came through your SaaS, they will already be in the account. But if I come in here, you're going to notice if I go to My Staff on the left menu, there's no one in here. If there's no one in here, you can't physically add a calendar because there's nobody connected to the calendar. You can't be part of the system because you're not physically in the system, even though you're an agency owner and you were able to set up on the agency account. So a little bit of a pain in the butt. If you bought the $97 plan or an agency owner, you're doing this for yourself. What you have to do though is you have to go back to the agency side. And this is only if you're doing it for yourself and you're planning on using that calendar. And then you have to go to settings and all of this will be blurred out because obviously it's going to be personal information in here. But if you come in here and we type in, let's say Nuno, right? And I come in here and I select this. I have to physically go into roles and permissions and add myself to that test account. Once I add myself to that test account, I go back into the test account, right? And now you're going to notice that I have something that I didn't have before. I go to settings, I go to My Staff, and under My Staff, lo and behold, here I am. Now, when I'm here, if I go and I refresh this, I have to log in as that individual. So what I do is I go to log in as the person. Now that I'm logged in as an individual, you're going to notice that I have something called My Profile here. Once I have My Profile here, I will fill up all the top part with all my personal information or the information that I'm going to have. But the most important part is the next part. So one, I want to make sure that I have a little bit of a signature, right? So I do Nuno Tavares. I put my email address, right? Like, whatever that might be, Nuno@test.com. This is what you want to do. And then I would include this if I wanted it with every signature. What I don't ever want to do is turn on two-way sync because that will try to send all my emails back and forth. Trust me, unless you're planning on a really advanced, do not touch this area. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come into calendars and I'm going to add or connect any one of my calendars. Now, if you followed my advice and you got in Google Workspace, this will work pretty flawlessly. All you have to do is connect your calendar. It's going to ask you to log in. Once you log in, it's going to automatically connect the calendar. All right, I'm going to hit continue, continue again. And the reason I know that my calendar is connected is you're going to start seeing the calendar is connected here. Now, you're going to notice that it has the link calendar. This is what I want to make sure I have, and I'm connected to the right calendar. Then here, if I want to add any conflicts to any of these calendars, these are the calendars that are all connected to my business calendar. And if I wanted to add these, I totally can. I wanted to check against this one, and I wanted to check against this one. And then it will check for conflicts automatically in there. Now, the other thing that's really important is we added this, but what if I wanted to add my Zoom? I click on video conferencing, all right, and I hit add new, and it gives me three choices: Google Meets, Zoom, and Microsoft Teams. Now, if I want to connect to Zoom, I hit connect. Now, if you've had any other HighLevel instance before and you've been connected already, this is going to be a little bit of a hindrance because you have to go back and you have to disconnect it from wherever it's at, or you're going to want to use your meeting key. That is like the standard key for everything. So if you hit connect and it's going to ask you to log into Zoom, so you're going to log in, all right? And then it would automatically connect it, right? Now, I'm not going to go through the whole entire thing, but you would hit connected. If you want to use Google Meet, it's automatically connected. And see, it will add Google Meet to every single calendar that I have, which again, you can totally use. Meeting location, you can hit connect Zoom or Google Meet. Now, sometimes it does require a day or two to get the Google Meet to show automatically, but you would want to eventually put whatever you want your meeting location to be every time in there. And then what you're going to do is set up the time zone and the availability. Same thing with business profile. One key thing I forgot to mention is make sure you're coming in here and you're setting up your time zone of wherever the time zone is for the main person of the account or where you're doing business in. Because if not, it's going to mess later on with all of that. So I'm going to go back to settings. I'm going to go back to my profile, and then I'm going to set up my business meetings. I'm going to set up my calendars, and then I'm ready to go. Now, if you downloaded a template already, now you probably already have calendars. So I'm going to hit the back button. I'm going to go to calendars. And if I go to calendar settings, you're going to notice that I already have 2 calendars in here. Now, they're already preset and they already have names and everything is associated with it. Now, most 9 times out of 10, if you downloaded a snapshot or a template already in the account, the next step would be, I selected calendars, right? I'm going to go to calendar settings and I now have the calendars collected. So what I want to do is, if you downloaded my snapshot, you're going to have 2 calendars connected. If not, you're going to want to create one for the customer real quick. So what you want to do is you're going to select new calendar. I always select round robin. You would select the calendar name. Like this would just be regular appointments. Obviously, you would name it that. You would just name it whatever the customer's name is, and you would name it calendar. Come in here. I select myself. All right. I have a 30-minute duration, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, 30 minutes, an hour. And again, I just want to create a calendar for the customer to have really be available. And then I'm going to hit confirm. It gives me the link. Notice that if I had my branded link would show up. In this case, because of like us just previewing it, this is what it would be. But then you're like, okay, customer, this is your link. You can now use it. And notice I have it here. I have also, if you downloaded the snapshot, all you got to do is come in here, hit edit calendar, change the name of it, or I'm going to show you where to put the company values. And you would just select the team number and you would select the meeting location. See, Google Meet, and it'll automatically add Google Meet, change the colors, do whatever you want, and automatically just hit save and turn this on. The reason it's off or inactive is because we haven't added anybody to it. You would just go ahead and add somebody, go through the whole thing, add a logo, whatever you want, and then add it to the customer and have the customer ready, right? Now, that's all said and done. I've added a calendar, I've added domains, and then I've already kind of connected all their social media. I've already scheduled one of their posts. And then right after that, the next thing that I do right after here is I go hit the go back button and I go to settings again, go to custom values. Now, if you downloaded my particular one, these are custom values you can add that says internal onboarding. If there's folders, you'll see folders in here. You'll see calendar links. You'll see Google Ads, internal onboarding. These are all values that are already there. That are going to be pre-filled. But I got to tell you, if you downloaded the snapshot that I've given you, it's in my free Skool community under learning. You're going to come back over here and inside of sites, you would go to sites. You would come in here where it says 00 start here. Inside of this particular funnel, you would have it where, again, if you're doing this for your customer, you're going to probably have your own snapshot. If not, you could skip this step altogether. But if you are inside of our snapshot, you come in here, you see where it says start here? All you're going to do is hit this little square with the little arrow sticking out of it. This is literally inside of sites, under funnels, start here. And we've made it easy for you. We have automations that work internally in here. That all you have to do is click on this, hit the view page, and go through these 2 videos, and it will actually help you set up all those custom values and help customers set up their first funnel. It makes it super easy for anybody to use. Now, if you're not doing that, the one thing that you want to walk away from is setting up their custom values for them, setting up their email, setting up their domain, making sure that they're, using the social media planner, and also being able to do that inside of there. Now, my videos in here in this snapshot automatically tell them exactly how to set up everything. But the next thing you want to do after you do all that is, if they're a local business, set up their reputation. Come in here and make sure that they have their business profile, their reviews AI, and they're sending their first request to a customer. This is literally on the get started under reputation, and you're going to want to go through all of this. So it's literally step by step. You come in here, connect to Google Business Profile, which I mentioned at the beginning. If you didn't do it then, you can do it now. Then you can figure AI reviews, what to say, how to say it, whether or not you want the auto response to go on. Then you would have, set up a review link. You would have a link that's specific for them for the review. Once you connect to Google Business Profile, this would be pre-populated. And then you would create the review widget. You would go through all this in order for it to do it. And there's an onboarding in here right away. I usually do with my customer and help them collect their first review. I'm like, hey, is there a friend or a family member that you can send a review link to that they can give you a positive review right now? Let's collect your first review. Boom. And we just send it out right then and there. You are going to want, same thing with the social media post. Post one social media post. Send out one review, because this is going to make it super sticky for the customer to kind of stay along and just understand what's going on. Now, that's all said and done, right? The next thing that we want to do is set up payments because the customer is going to want to basically be able to collect payments inside of here, or at least most customers will. Then what you want to do is you want to go to integrations, and if they have Stripe, authorize that in my, you're going to literally hit connect. With Stripe, literally, it's one button and it connects. This is why we recommend Stripe for everybody. If they don't have a Stripe account set up, give them homework in order for them to do, and do a follow-up appointment for them to come back. All right. And then they're done there. Then the other thing you want to do is once you set up their payment, if they want to send up, like, just send out a link for people to pay, help them set up a payment link once they create their first product. Once you create the first product, you create the payment link. And again, you have to have Stripe in order connected. They will come in here, select whatever product they have, require customers to add phones, all this, and name their link. They will put all their product descriptions and everything in here. They will name their link. And then if they wanted to send it immediately right away for the customer to get charged, hit copy and send, and it automatically sends, a link with their payment on it so they can pay automatically. Super easy, super chill. But again, in order for them to do it, they have to go to payments, first connect the integration, then come in here and create the actual product. Creating a product is the easiest thing on earth. Over here, you do test product, and you can literally, hey, do you offer coaching services? Do you offer consulting? Are you selling any kind of service product? Can we set up a payment link that we can sell? Like maybe anything out there just for them to test it. You can name it a test product, put in a test description. Okay, come in here. Don't worry about product collection or the taxes. Just come in here, do a one-time price. I believe it's $45. Boom. Go all the way down to save. You don't have to really worry about anything else. And then the test product is done. And again, really easy. Go to the payment link, create a new link. This will be test link. Select the product. There's your test product. Awesome. Let's require customers to add their phone number, collect their address. You can allow for custom codes if you want. And then branding is going to be test account or whatever the brand name is. You want to add some terms and service, add terms, links to the terms and service. Okay. And then I hit save, and then I hit copy and send. I can copy or send it to one of the links or one of the contacts I had in here. You can copy it, or you can literally send it to any contacts that they've already added into the system. The next thing is, if you want to go 2 more areas above and beyond, what I would do next is I would go right into AI. And if you watch my AI chat video or you watch my AI voice video, there are instructions on using a custom GPT that will automatically ask questions and then develop a prompt that you can automatically set up for the client. But you can't do chat and you can't do voice unless you set up A2P, and you got to ask the customer that question. Would you set up text messaging or voice AI or any of those things? Because if we do, then we have to start setting up and registering for a business account. There are 2 fees when it comes to registering for that text messaging voicemail option. Again, it's completely option. You don't have to do this, but we do really strongly recommend, because a lot of people are using it. Here's what I recommend doing. Let's set up for A2P registration. There's a video on that. Just find the A2P registration video either on YouTube, Skool, or inside the membership area, and start the A2P process. Now, the way I do it is we've already set up the brand, remember? Because you set up the business profile with them. Now, all they need to do is come in here, go into settings, and then phone system. Inside the settings and phone system, you would come in here and you would do Trust Center, and you would start the registration. You would do brand, but then you would start it here. And then when you start in, it literally goes to the entire thing. It tells you what you need to do if you follow along. But remember, the first part is going to be the profile that's going to match it against the state. The second part is going to be the campaign. The reason we do this for our customers is I'll do this and then I'll upsell, or I'll have you, the customer, start setting up their voice and their chatbots, because honestly, it is by far one of the best things you can do inside the system. But it does require another session altogether, because by then, right now, they're walking away with being able to make appointments on their calendar. They walk away with having all the domains added. They walk away with the ability of doing emails. They walk away with all these different things, the social media posts and everything else. This is what you want the customer to do, getting their first review, whatever it is. And you just want to make sure it's very active in what you're doing. Then the last part, again, aside from doing the A2P, or maybe you want to include this a little bit earlier, if they already have a list. Now, this is where you got to be very cautious in how you explain this. Do you want to add your contacts to the system? Now, before you add your contacts, remember the rule about mass broadcasting. You can't do that. Everything here has to happen slowly, and then it can build up to something bigger. So if we're going to bring in contacts, you have to make a promise that you're not going to blast them today all at once, that you're going to do 500 at a time, maybe sort the list a little bit before you bring them in. So we want to make sure that it's very simple. Now, for customers that already have lists, if you want to help them bring on their list. Click into contacts, click into import contacts. When you do, it's going to ask for a CSV file. Do me a favor with the CSV file, at least name, email, and phone number, and address is fine, but create a tag and segregate the list by coming in. And do yourself a favor, literally do it to segment 1, segment 2, segment 3. Do the 300, the 600, all of that at a time. So then when you bring it in and you want to bulk email these out, you'll already have a list in order to do it. And it's not that hard. Again, just look at Google Sheets, add all your lists to a Google Sheet, make a column called tags, literally ask ChatGPT or Gemini, please create a segments for this. Do every first 300, second 300, and then the rest start doubling, and let ChatGPT or somebody else figure that out. And if you decide to upload the entire list and they're like, well, no, I'm not going to blast email anybody. Perfect. Upload the entire list. It's really that easy. It's a CSV file. Just make sure that name, email, and phone number, and make sure that the file type is CSV, and you're ready to rock and roll. And then, like I said, if you downloaded our funnel bricks, they start in here. There's a whole series on how to build your first funnel, get your automations and everything else going. And it already comes with a set of automations that you'll turn on. There's separate videos on how to turn all these on. I'm not going to go over all this, but it's a pretty robust automation sequence. We give it to all of our customers for free inside the community. It's our way to giving back to all of you to get you set up right. But honestly, this is what it takes to set up an account. It's not that hard. The hardest part is going to be the domain part, because if you have a domain and not in either GoDaddy or Namecheap, you're going to run into situations where it's just going to be a little bit harder. So hopefully this helps, and we'll see you in the next one.